How's it going, everybody? I hope you are all doing wonderful today. I have something a little different for us. We have done this once on the stream before, but it was just maybe half hour to an hour of talking about this, and not a ton of people caught it, so I want to do it on a YouTube video. Maybe a few more of these in the future, depending on what we talk about and everything. But I want to do an Iron Maiden tier list today. I want to rank the albums based on how I personally feel about them, what makes them special to me, what I like and don't like about them, that kind of thing. If you all know, my stream has largely centered around music, a lot of great music in the background, wide variety of genres. It's a lot of fun. I mean, we can bond over stuff. We talk about, the music we like, introduce me to new music, I'll introduce you to new music. Just kind of, it's just a fun thing to really talk about. It's something that really brings out a lot of emotion and nostalgia for us. So, for me, like I say, Iron Maiden's my favorite band of all time. Seen them a few times in concert. Really enjoy everything they have to offer. And to be fair, even though I know it's S to F here, even the albums that I consider not so good albums are still pretty good in their own right. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with the ranking, and that's fine. That's the thing. Like, I have no problem with that at all. I have listened to every single song they have to offer many times. Like I say, they are a huge part of my life, and I really have a lot of respect for them. I think it's cool, though. Just before we get into this, I think it's really cool how every album has like an overall theme. Even the earlier ones, there was there was a specific like color, feel, mood attributed towards, the album art and the story they had to tell on them. I think something that's kept them so relevant for so long is the fact that every album has a slightly different sound, sometimes even a largely different sound. A couple of exceptions, I'd say, would be the late 90s albums. Their sound was pretty dark, pretty similar to one another. Not a whole lot of variety there. And then the first two albums, it was kind of like their debut album, self-titled, and then into Killers, where it was like, okay, this is our sound, but we're going to refine it a little bit, But then after that, every single album had such a just wildly different feel to them. To start out, pretty plain and simple, I'm going to say the album I don't like the most out of all of them for sure is going to be Virtual 11, the 11th studio album. It was a Blaze album. It was a Yannick album. There was no Adrian Smith, no Bruce Dickinson. The writing fell pretty flat. The Angel and the Gambler is, in my opinion, one of the most just wildly different songs they've ever made, and it feels so strange to even include it in there. But yeah, that was one of the singles, and it was just kind of like, what is this? So I don't have anything super positive to say about the album. It's just part of their history, part of their lineage. It was one of those times. A lot of bands fell kind of flat in the 90s. Metallica had their thing, and Megadeth certainly had their thing going on, and it was just kind of like, everybody's trying to figure it out. Like, what are we doing? Grunge was kind of like moving in, and the sound changed a lot. Bands either adapted or, fell onto darker times like this. X Factor, a little better than this one. I think overall, you can listen to it. It's not like something I would ever say, hey, put that on. That's what I want to hear. A couple of good songs in there. Couple of good singles, but nothing just incredible in there. Very dark times for this band. I think Steve Harris was going through it, it kind of shows. It was a weird direction, weird time, but I don't think anything else is even close to this level. I mean, Blaze is a good showman, a good singer on his own, but man, just not the Iron Maiden feel for sure. I will have to go next. No Prayer for the Dying. D album for me. I like the album. I think there's a lot of solid songs on there, a lot of fun songs. Holy Smoke is actually pretty awesome. I think it's a tongue-in-cheek, fun song. I think it's just really upbeat. Harsh Bruce Dickinson vocals throughout this album and Fear of the Dark. Another like 90s thing was Bruce kind of experimenting with his vocals a little bit more. You know, it's cool. It has a different feel. I like this. You know, Tail Gunner's a pretty cool one. You know, there's some good songs on there, but I think the writing, again, falls a little flat. Without Adrian Smith, you can tell the dynamic isn't really there. And I like Yannick, but man, Adrian Smith is a hell of a writer. Have to go D for that one. I think overall, solid album, but solid just don't cut it when you got stuff like this coming up next. Book of Souls, C album. Book of Souls is good. Pretty long, but not a problem, because I like how they change and adapt their sound. I'm not one of those Iron Maiden fans that thinks, hey, they don't sound anything like they used to, and I want everything to sound the same. I like that their flair essentially is put onto newer things and different styles, and a more progressive sound, a more, you know, they have their Iron Maiden feel without it having to just all sound the same, which is something I think there's a lot of bands, you know, with their lineage. There's a few bands out there that have been around for a while, and they try to recapture a sound they used to have, but they're not in that place anymore mentally, physically. They're not in that place, you know, the times have changed, and I think the music should reflect that, where it's tough to go back and recapture a sound of those glory years, you know? I mean, I think it's said best in Wasted Years, you know, don't waste your time searching for those wasted years, you know? Which is, I know, obviously kind of cheesy and all of it, from me saying it, not from them. But, you know, it's true. Like, why are you spending so much time trying to replicate something you cannot have again when you could just make something new and feel good about it? I like this album. I think it's pretty good, but it's not, you know, it's not, I think this album here, their next album, this one I'm going to put as a C+. Their last studio album they just brought out, it's the Book of Souls, but refined. The Book of Souls, but it just feels really polished and like they found what they wanted to do on the Book of Souls and put it out in a broader spectrum, like a better, more refined feel. I like it. It's a good listen all the way through. Pretty long still again. I mean, I'm not the kind of person either that has to have, you know, just quick hit, like song after song. I don't mind having something on in the background. I don't mind having something that, you know, is just like sonically impressive and it just overall feels like it flows really well. I don't mind that. I think it's a good album. I think it's overall, you know, I mean, again, there's so many good ones ahead of it, but it's just, it's pretty nice to see them really put that much passion into something this late into their careers. You know, after these, it gets kind of tough to decide where things go. I mean, you have so many different directions, so many different albums and just feels and everything like that. I think we're still in C+ with this one. And I think I'm going to go A Matter of Life and Death. I like it a little more than their last album, but I think there is something to be said about the epicness of a lot of the songs. The Longest Day, huge, just swelling intro. Like, it builds up so well. Different World, just a great song. Love Different World. There's a lot of standouts on here. I like it a lot. I definitely like the World Tour. Actually, I saw them on tour when they were promoting this album. It was really cool. It was really fun. They only played a couple songs from the album, but they were just bringing that like energy for it, and it was pretty awesome. Pretty epic time. Brings back very fond memories for sure. But yeah, there's a few good songs on this album that just really stand out. And I mean, like, good songs. But C+, just because overall, like, there is some parts that kind of drag. It didn't feel as refined as some of the other, like, 2000s albums. You know, production value was good. It wasn't as good as it's been. I am going to go Final Frontier in B tier. I think that one is kind of like how these two worked. I think this is kind of the more refined version of A Matter of Life and Death. I think that essentially, this album has a lot of really good songs, a lot of epic tales. When the Wild Wind Blows is incredible. I like that song a lot. I like the message from that song. I think Final Frontier has just a really good start to finish with the album itself. It flows. You know, the Satellite, the intro, it's so weird. It's so different, but it's kind of like a callback to those, like, you know, crazy 80s space-themed movies and albums and things like that before, where it's like, wow, this is what it sounds like in the future, you know? So it was kind of like a little nostalgia trip there, too. I like it. I don't know. Just one of those little quirky things. For me, next, Fear of the Dark. And I know that's where we're going to start to really get some, like, pushback on it. Fear of the Dark is funny to me because there's so many people that love this album, but love it for about half of the songs, and then that's kind of where it's left off. So Fear of the Dark itself, really good song. I think it's a powerful intro, great song, easily the best 90s album by far on this list. I mean, there's 4 of them, and it just blows the other 4 away. You know, it's got, I think Wasting Love is a pretty good ballad style song, but on the harsher side. From Here to Eternity, I like that song. Judas, Be My Guide. What a freaking song. It's so funny because, like, a lot of people do not even think of those songs, and I like them a lot. I think they're pretty cool. But there's so many good songs on here. And Be Quick or Be Dead is just such a powerful song. But then there's a few others that are just kind of on the album, you know? Overall, though, great album. I like it. I like it a lot. B is huge for an Iron Maiden tier list because, I mean, look at what we got left. It's wild stuff, you know? I am going to go next. I think Killers, even though it has a more refined sound than the self-titled, there's a lot of songs on it and a lot of good songs. But I think a lot of those songs all kind of blend together. It's more of a feel and a power in this. The song itself, Killers, is so good, and I love Paul's voice on the album. I think he just kills it. Just so perfect for this kind of music. The range is incredible, and just the feel, it just feels so... it's just such a great album. You know, there's a lot of hidden gems on this one. There's a lot of songs where you'll go through and you'll hear the singles and think, oh yeah, I know this. But then if you go through and listen to some of the other ones on there, there's just some really great things that, you know, people just don't really think about ever. Murders in the Rue Morgue, what a song that is. And I know people know that song, but man, that's another one where it's just like, it just pops you, you know? It's just so freaking fast and upbeat and powerful. And, you know, again, the storytelling is just great with it. It's you know, they're storytellers for sure. I am going to go Iron Maiden next. Self-titled album. I like it more than Killers just a little bit because some of those songs bring back such an atmospheric, just nostalgic trip for me. It's crazy because listening to this album, the song Strange World, I mean, you could just imagine driving home at night after work or something like that and having that song play, and it's just such an atmosphere. You just feel, it feels so cinematic almost. I think that song itself is just such a good, it just whisks you away into a different world. I like it. Strange World is so good. I usually play it on my stream, and it's just one of those things that kind of shuts me down and makes me go, wow, look at this moment right now that we're having. There's swelling solos in there. It's just so good. Remember Tomorrow's on there. That's a classic. Great song. The song Iron Maiden itself is on there. Yeah, I mean, it's just classic after classic. If you know the band, you know the whole album. You know, it's just so iconic. It does get hurt on the production value, but you know what? That's kind of its charm too. Again, Paul just kills it. I think his vocals are incredible on here. I love every second of that album, and you know, it's just good overall. I think this is B+ because I think these albums are great. I think they're just hurt by the lack of diversity and sound on the album. Dance of Death next. I love Dance of Death for the same reasons I think people love Fear of the Dark. I think like half of the album is so freaking good. Just incredible. But I think the other half is not bad. I think it's just good. I can listen to this whole album all the way through. Tons of songs on there. It's got a lot of songs. The song Dance of Death I think is really good. It sounds like a more refined telling of the tale from Number of the Beast, which I think is pretty cool because it's not like a few bands who try to recapture their sound. They've gone out and said, hey, we're going to tell this story, but we're going to tell it with our current sound, our more refined sound. And I think that's really cool. Song Rainmaker on there. Wildest Dreams is a nice pick-me-up. Montsegur, dude, nobody even thinks of that song, but it's so good. There's just so much on this album that it has to offer, and the cover art is horrible. It's horrendous. It's the worst cover art of the whole franchise. I guess you could say, I don't know what they call it. The whole discography is the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. It's just like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking. It looks terrible. It looks like my 4th grade like digital art project, but you know what? Don't let the album cover fool you. It is a great album all the way through. I think it's incredible. Brave New World is going next. It is another one that's just so freaking good. I heard some people actually saying that the song Blood Brothers on this album was kind of cheesy, which is weird to me because it's like a tribute to Steve Harris's dad who passed away when they were writing the album. So I was like, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't know. I think it's just kind of the way he wanted to express his grief, and I think that's kind of a beautiful thing in a way. And I don't know if you could necessarily call that cheesy, but, it's just, I think it's a beautiful song, especially given the emotion behind it. Reunited with Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith, bringing that 6-man band back together. Well, I guess it was never together in the first place, but you know what I mean? Like reuniting all members together at the same time, bringing on that big, like, orchestral feel with 3 guitarists and everything. It's pretty cool. The Wicker Man, incredible song. Brave New World. Now that song is very good. There's not a lot lyrically there, but it's such a good song, which is something that definitely is holding them back, I think, in this one. Is there's a lot of parts that are kind of like elongated, but the lyrics don't really... there's not a lot of diversity with the lyrics, I'll say. I mean, a lot of the choruses sound like they're just repeating the choruses over and over again, which is the only thing that really hurts it, because like Dream of Mirrors, same deal. It's so good, in my opinion, but just, it's longer than it really needs to be. Ghost of the Navigator, incredible song. I don't know if it really gets the credit it deserves. Very good. So many good songs on this album, all the way through. Very, very good. God. Out of the Silent Planet, another song that's just like, it's there and it's so good. I'm going to go Peace of Mind next. This is where stuff just is incredible. Impossible to even, start talking about what's better or worse, really, without there being differences of opinion. I mean, Peace of Mind, another one of those, like, kind of darker themed albums, but dark in a good way, not like just... These sounds just kind of fell a little flat, a little dry. This sound is very robust, and the sound on a lot of these songs on the album are very good. Revelations is such a freaking good song, lyrically, and then just the composure of the song, the composition of the song is so good. Flight of the Icarus is on there. The Trooper. I know everybody knows The Trooper. The Trooper is everybody's favorite song for the most part. It's a good song. It's an anthem song. But, dig deeper and you'll find incredible stuff. Still Life on here. Incredible. There's just so much. There's so much on here. Top to bottom. Great album. Great album. Tells a story, but not the way these albums tell a story down here. This is... very interesting because all of these albums are incredible and it's very hard to pick a 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of all of these because they're so good. I'm going Number of the Beast next. And here's the thing. Everybody's favorite album, they go to Number of the Beast. It's the most known album. It's the one that everybody's heard on, you know, Guitar Hero and all that stuff. It's the one that's featured everywhere. It is the most recognizable album from Iron Maiden of all time. Easy. Number of the Beast, incredible song, of course. Great story, great song. Run to the Hills, another anthem song. Hallowed Be Thy Name, one of their best songs, easily. They got 22 Acacia Avenue is just such an incredible song. It is a riff-heavy song. It is a just wonderful song. Very good. Prisoners on here, Gangland, stuff like that. But that's where, you know, you forget about stuff like Children of the Damned on there, too. That's another incredible song. All these songs are so good. And individually so good. Album all the way listening. You can listen to it all the way through. It's an S-tier album. It's not my favorite album, but it is an S-tier album. And I think next is Power Slave. I think when you open Aces High, what an opening. 2 Minutes to Midnight, incredible song. And this is where the song started to really find individual themes and feelings while also telling a broader story. Because every song I mean, you know, if you listen to Aces High, you listen to the song Power Slave, you listen to 2 Minutes to Midnight, 3 songs, same album, same band, totally different feels, totally different sounds. And I mean, lyrics are just so storytelling heavy. It's crazy. It's so good. So many good songs on there, but I do think where it has all these wonderful songs, Rime of the Ancient Mariner on there, you fall short on a couple songs. Flash of the Blade's okay, feels like it was kind of just put on there though. And then Lost for Words is an instrumental. They didn't do an instrumental since, I believe, Killers. But, you know, it's weird to have Bruce Dickinson and just do an instrumental. I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel fitting. Still a good song, but, you know, I think the heavy hitter songs outweigh any negatives on here. I think with Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast, I think that album, it's just so overplayed that it feels like there's so much special stuff missing from the rest of the 80s albums, you know? Like, you just don't even think about that. But there's so many great songs. Aces High, such a refined, great song. 2 Minutes to Midnight, one of the first songs I ever heard. So again, probably a little, you know, little nostalgic glasses on there. But it is what it is. I always go back and forth between these two albums. It almost seems like whichever one I listen to last is my favorite out of these two. But these two have always been my favorite. Seventh Son, I think I'll go next. I think that is number 2 in an interchangeable 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think depending on how you're listening to these and when, you know, you're gonna have different feelings about them, and that could be said through a lot of this stuff. But I really think those 4 especially. Seventh Son has The Evils That Men Do. Great song. Can I Play With Madness? Great song. The overall album, again, just start to finish, a story, an incredible story. Moonchild, powerful song to start out with. Only the Good Die Young, powerful song to end with that a lot of people don't realize. That intro, outro verse, very, very cool concept. The song Seventh Son, very epic. That's when they started, you know, Number of the Beast had some longer songs on it. Rime of the Ancient Mariner on Power Slave was their, like, big, long song for so many years until the 2000s. And that's when it was like, okay, you know, we've had a couple of these longer songs, but that's kind of like our bread and butter as of late. But yeah, there's, like, just really big theatrical songs on there. And Seventh Son was another really big song. It feels incredible. Infinite Dreams is one of my favorite songs from that album, though, and a lot of people don't listen to that song and give it a chance the way they should. That harmony after the solo, that harmony before the solo itself, it's such a cool build-up and everything like that. Where this does lose a little bit for me is The Prophecy. Great song, but it sounds more like a bridge between different stories within the story. And, you know, like I say, good song, but The Clairvoyant is an incredible song. I love playing that song on bass, and it feels really good to play, but I have to go Somewhere in Time as number one. Somewhere in Time is an album that kind of just encapsulates the 80s, in my opinion. I think it's the best at capturing its time period because it's looking towards the future from an 80s perspective. It has a lot of cool themes on it. The album cover art is incredible. And it's got some of my favorite songs on there. Wasted Years is one of my favorite songs. One of the most recognizable songs, easily. That intro is so freaking iconic. Caught Somewhere in Time is one of my favorite songs as well. I think that's another example of like just a solo that feels so powerful, rolling right into a harmony, classic Iron Maiden harmony. It's just, I mean, if I could have seen that live, oh my God, it would have been incredible. That would have been such a thing. Deja Vu, great song that nobody really knows, that is really, really good. I love that song. There's The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, such a unique, interesting song. Alexander the Great's the only one on there that kind of feels strange to me. Like it's a good song, it's not a great song. A lot of the other songs on there are incredible. If you listen to Sea of Madness, what a song that is. The song just, it literally sounds like a sea. It sounds like waves crashing. It's Bruce Dickinson's voice. Man, what a vocal performance he had on this album. So good. It was just like, what a time. Imagine growing up and this is what you're hearing. You know, I can only imagine because I was born in the 90s, but just hearing these songs, even as a kid, I was like, wow. You know, I own The Number of the Beast and Power Slave on vinyl, and just listening to those through the same means that you heard them back when they came out in the day, it's just a different experience. It's something else. I love Iron Maiden. I love all the songs in here. I think that's my list here. You know, we could always rank cover arts and things like that again with the bands, or really rank anything we talk about on stream. But I really enjoy doing the tier lists, and, you know, tell me, guys, like, honestly, I don't mind if you tear this list apart, if you have stuff you agree with, disagree with, hidden gem songs, you know, whatever the case may be. I love talking about music, and that's the best thing about it. It's like, it's subjective. It's whatever it makes you feel, you know? So, I don't know. I had fun doing this, though, and I have this list for anybody who missed it during the stream. But thank you all for hanging out. It was a pleasure, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one, y'all. Stay safe.